All right, direct mail advertisers send solicitations, also known as junk mail, to thousands of potential customers in the hope that some of them will buy the company's product. The acceptance rate is usually quite low. Suppose a company wants to test their response to a new flyer and sends it to 1,000 people randomly selected from their mailing list of over 200,000 people. They get orders from 123 of the recipients. Create a 90% confidence interval for the percentage of people the company contacts who may buy something. So how do we find, or well, I guess let's first check the conditions. Is it independent?
Yeah.
Is it random?
Yes.
10%?
Yes.
And success failure?
Yes.
We can't do that number yet, but it will be.
So it's not like if they...
We haven't found the proportion yet, that's why we can't, but it will be. So, P hat, that's why I was going to do that first, and I was like, no, we technically should check the conditions first, but P hat would be what? Or how would I find that number?
123 divided by 1,000.
Yep, 123 that bought something out of the 1,000 that got something sent to them, which is 0.123.
Oh, I misread that, but I misheard that. I thought it said that 200,000 people were selected and 123 of them actually ordered. I was like, man, that's awful.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
All right, a 90% confidence interval, the Z star for this is 1.645. That's another number you're going to need to know on top of the one that I told you the other day.
Which is 1.9.
For what confidence level?
95.
95. All right, so confidence interval, the setup of this is going to be equal to 0.123 plus or minus the Z star 1.645 times the square root of 0.123 times 0.877 question mark over 1,000. Now, that would mean you'd have to put this stuff in twice to actually get this interval. So we can use our handy dandy calculator for one prop Z interval. So remember that's under stat, then test. And then it should be option A or around there.
Stat test.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to be for 123, 1,000, and 0.9 for 90% confidence.
You said it was the first option?
Option A or around there. One prop Z interval.
The Z test?
One prop Z interval.
Oh, that's why that was
How far up do we want to go with these?
Or do I just push calculate?
Where did the point?
You're on one prop Z test. You need one prop Z interval.
Oh my goodness.
That's
That would make
I was like, that shouldn't be a question being asked. We're not to those yet.
Oopsie.
Yeah, make sure you pick one
Okay.
prop Z interval, not Z test. It will,
I'm confused.
That makes sense. You gotta like keep scrolling
you're a
down.
genius.
You gotta keep scrolling down.
Okay, so the first one is 0.10.
Why is it-
How much farther out do you want?
3 decimal places.
Okay. 0.106.
Wait.
Why isn't it?
Why didn't it give an answer?
Yeah, mine's not giving you the answer.
Oh, only
The
press
other
enter
one's
once. Don't press it twice.
0.140.
Oh.
I did that twice, and then I was like, oh.
Okay, what'd you say, Josh? I want to make sure I answered that right.
Where did you get
It's on the board.
She can't read. 0.106 and 0.140.
Okay, I
Nice
did it right.
numbers.
Now you can write it this way, or you can write them as percent. So 10.6% to 14%. Either way is fine. So explain what this means in context. Okay, so based on the sample, I am 90% confident that the true proportion of people who will buy something after receiving the flyer is between 10.6% and 14%. Explain what 90% confidence means. If we sample many times, of size 1000, because that's what the size of this particular one was. It's the number we're getting. 90% of the intervals created will capture the true proportion of people who will buy something after receiving the flyer. The company must decide whether to now do a mass mailing. The mailing won't be cost effective unless it produces at least a 5% return. So that means that 5% of people decide to buy something after receiving it. What does your confidence interval suggest? Basically, should they do a mass mailing or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, they should do a mass mailing. Because they should expect more than a 5% return since the interval is above 5%.
I was still writing the answer for the other question as you were writing that. So then I started writing that in the other question.
A study of 902 decisions made by the Nebraska Board of Parole produces the following computer output. Assuming these cases are representative of all cases that may come before the board, what can you conclude? So basically, we're just doing the conclusion part of this problem. So we have the Z interval for proportion, so the 1 prop Z interval with a 95% confidence produces this interval, which is from 56.1% to 62.5%. So how do you think we would write this conclusion?
Would it be kind of like the explain what this interval means question?
More like the, yeah. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing, but yes.
So, based on the sample, I am 95% confident that the true proportion of decisions made. Actually, I
You're on the right track.
don't know.
Yeah.
Decisions.
Not
made-
inmates who are paroled would be the better
Okay.
thing to say, but yes.
That inmates parole is between 56.1% and 62.5%.
Yep. And I'm saying by the NBOP, and that just means the Nebraska Board of Parole, because I don't want to write it out.
So did it have parole?
Now, if you had left it as decisions and not switched it to the inmates who are paroled, like I still would have taken that too. That would have been fine. Because obviously it doesn't directly say that, but you kind of have to infer that. Decisions isn't exactly specific enough. It needs a little bit more. Maybe like decisions about the parole or something like that, just to give a little more context to it, but that would be fine too. All right. A May 2007 Gallup poll found that 11% of a random sample of 1,003, that's really annoying, adults approved of attempts to clone a human. That's weird. Find the margin of error for this poll if we want 95% confidence in our estimate of the percent of American adults who approve of cloning humans.
How does one clone
So, like,
Yeah.
you would start with
They clone animals, I guess the same way.
yeah.
I don't
Some
know.
people clone their pets.
I would
But the thing is,
Weird.
I
it's
think
it's
it's
a almost it's an exact genetic copy, but it's not gonna have the same personality.
Right.
I was thinking like you have two pairs of twins.
I don't think cloning
Basically
humans
clones of
is
each other.
morally right.
No.
I mean, I've seen the clone one.
All right, so margin of error is equal to Z star times the square root of P hat Q hat over N. What's the Z star for 95%?
1.96.
1.96 times the square root of 0.11 times 0.89 divided by 1,003. Such an annoying number.
I know, just do it now.
Why are we talking 3
It's just weird.
or 1.9%. So explain what the margin of error means. So this means that I am 95% confident that the true proportion is within 1.9% of 11% in favor of cloning humans. All right, this next question is kind of done backwards. They want you to tell if for 90% confidence if the margin of error is larger or smaller. So tell me what you think without doing any math, and then we're going to do part D and then go back and see if you were right for part C.
Well, I already kind of sort of did the math-ish thing in my head. I don't have an answer, but I
Well, do you think it's larger or smaller?
smaller.
Anyone else?
Oh no, I'm still writing the answer for that question.
So what's the confidence, or what's the Z star for confidence of 90%?
645.
So 1.645 times the square root of 0.11 times 0.89 over 1003. So find that number. And then we'll decide if it's smaller or larger.
0.016.
0.016 or 1.6%. So it is in fact smaller. And it's a smaller interval because we're less confident. All right. The mayor of a small city has suggested that the state locate a new prison there, arguing that the construction project and resulting jobs will be good for the local economy. A total of 138 residents show up for the public hearing on the proposal, and a show of hands finds only 31 in favor of the prison project. What can the city council conclude about the public support for the mayor's initiative? We're not actually solving anything. I mean, in a sense, we do need to kind of think about conditions to be able to answer the question, but I don't have any, like, numbers I'm dealing with, per se. I mean, I do, but
Well, we have to find.
Well, I guess the people aren't supporting the
We
mayor.
have to find PDAT first, right? We have to find PDAT.
we don't even have to do that for this problem.
Oh.
This problem has no math.
Oh.
So like the people are not in favor. The people do not support the mayor in this circumstance.
Right, so I'm going to ask you, is there any bias in this?
Perhaps.
No, wait.
And if so, what kind?
Oh, what's
Yeah,
it?
well, it's only the people who showed up to
It's
this hearing.
yeah, but there's two
Response
different.
bias?
There's two different types of
Convenience.
bias.
Maybe.
There's the one where like you were trying to convince
That's response
someone.
bias, I'm very sure. there's one where it's like
There's 100.
that.
So only certain people like show up. So are those the ones with like strong
So you don't get the whole
opinions on the matter?
population. Oh,
Yeah.
that one, yeah.
Strong opinions.
Strong opinions, voluntary response bias. Okay. So what can the city council conclude about the public support for the mayor's initiative? Not much.
Not much.
Okay, for a couple reasons. Okay, the sample is from a representative sample. It's not random, which we would have found out by checking the conditions. Okay, so that's one thing.
But we usually use like the representative ones anyway. Is this like two representatives?
Yeah, because of the bias that came with this one.
Okay.
So yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So like it represents too much of one part of the population.
Potentially, yeah, because it's only the people who really care about this topic are going to come. The sample is not from, the sample is from a relative, hold on, I need to just start over. Sample is from a representative sample. Not random. So the conclusions may not reflect the opinions of the public. And I would say something like voluntary response bias. Only people with strong opinions would show up. So more than likely it's not a good representation of the public, which is kind of what it means by it's a representative sample, but it's not necessarily a good representation of them. I'm gonna have to give you that number. We don't have that one yet. Which will be another one you need. Josh, did you have all this? I realized I turned it and I was like, oh no, I think you're still writing. All right, before we continue, the 98% confidence level is 2.326. In preparing a report on the economy, we need to estimate the percentage of businesses that plan to hire additional employees in the next 60 days. How many randomly selected employers must be contacted in order to create an estimate in which we are 98% confident with a margin of error of 5%? Okay, so this is going to be finding the sample size like I gave you the formula for on the board. But I'm going to do it as if you didn't have that formula memorized. We're going to go through and solve it ourselves so that you see it solved again. So we have a margin of error, or in general, let's do this. Margin of error is equal to z star times the square root of p hat q hat over n. And I am trying to solve for n in this case. So margin of error is 5%, so that's going to be 0.05. So I'm going to just do it with numbers in this time instead of the letters. Is equal to the z star for 98% confidence is 2.326 times the square root of p hat q hat. Now, did they give that to me?
No, so they're both 0.5.
So we're going to assume 0.5 since it wasn't given to me. So 0.5 for both divided by n. So I'm going to divide 0.05 by 2.326. So someone's going to have to do that for me.
Probably what, not porch numbers?
0.05 by the 2.326. Okay, now use that number and square it. Because we need to undo the square root on this side, so we need to square both sides. And tell me what you get when you square it.
I got 4.62 times 10 to the negative 3.
Okay, so we need, okay, 0.1, 2, wait, how many? What was your 10 to the what?
Negative 4.
So 0.00046, is that what you said? Okay. Equals 0.5 times 0.5 over n. Now I can just swap n in this number. So, and again, I would use that number that you've been given, not the rounded number. So n is equal to 0.5 times 0.5. When you do this, you can hit second and then the negative sign. The little negative sign is for answer. So when you type it in, if you type it in that way, 0.5 times 0.5 divided by second answer, it will give you your number. So I'm going to just put in the actual number, but so how many businesses do we get? 541 businesses. Scared me. You know what was happening? I don't know if I spelled that word right. I feel like it looks weird.
I always get confused on how to spell like businesses and busyness.
I always, I generally like, end up switching the I and the S, and then I realize no, that's not how you're supposed to.
Is that how you spell it? I feel like it looks weird.
I think that's right.
Businesses.
We have it a level way. We got it
Oh,
down.
you got it
I'll get
down?
it.
We stood on top of the ref stand with a chair and then had William sticky.
Thanks. I was like, what is happening? Thought y'all were coming to sing or something, and I was like, I was like, okay.
We wouldn't do that voluntarily.
Is it recording right now?
Yes.
Hi.
Yo, what's good?
Talking to your future selves.
Oh no.
Yo, what's good, future
Who
me?
won't take stats.
I'm probably not watching this video right now.
Um,
No, you won't be in that class.
Answer this one.
will I be in this class?
You could be.
Wait, what should I say to my future self?
This is stats. You're not taking
Why wouldn't I take it? What, she said I could be.
You could take stats or
Riley,
pre-cal next
Just in
year.
case, what should I say?
Did you hit 1,000 points yet?
Yeah, did I hit 1,000 yet? Because I need to average 17.85 next year. Dougie, do the math.
Hi Nathan. I'd rather not.
Alright, big guy.
Okay, back to math. The brief intermission there. And they left the door open. Okay, suppose we want to reduce the margin of error to 2.5%. What sample size will suffice?
So we just
So we have to
do
just
the
do
math
that
again?
math
Nope.
all over again?
We don't need to.
Oh my gosh, can we half it?
Oh wait, divided by 2.
So we cut the margin of error in half.
So we can half it.
Oh. Wait, or do we
So look,
times
this
it?
number is half what the original margin of error
And
is.
then we times the.
So we cut the margin of error in half. Okay, yes, Peyton, you're on the right track.
Oh, okay.
So what are we multiplying it by?
0.025.
We halved it,
2.5.
and it's going to be squared.
4.
4.
I still don't understand.
Four
how that
times as many
applies.
people.
Not tracking. Oh, because the square root of 4.
Because this is half of this number,
What is half of that number?
the margin of error. This was our margin of error. My margin of error is now 0.025. Okay.
Right.
So then when I flip it, because sample size is on the bottom, so I cut it in half, so I flip it and I square it, it has to be times 4.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Wait.
I cut it in half,
Cut in half to get 0.05.
well, which is
If
what
you just,
got
like-
me to here.
If you forget that info, could you just like do the math?
Yeah.
Again? Okay.
Yeah, if you weren't so inclined, you could just do the math again over here. If you don't believe me, we can do the math.
No, I believe you. I trust you.
I need to see the math.
I don't know how it works. I'm just gonna
I
do
need to
it.
see the math.
And solve for n. I'm gonna let y'all solve for n this time. Tell me what you get.
Okay.
Because I know what the number should be. Well, you know what the number should be because I just told you, but. Or you know how to find it.
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's insane.
Neat.
What you get?
2,164
Dang, I did something.
Businesses.
people. That's one. I wrote. Why did I write people?
What you get?
Oh, I wrote people because I said four
That's
times as
that's
many
not
people.
it. That's not it.
Oh.
What do you get?
I got 2.4.
Oh yeah, I also wrote people. She also wrote people.
I did.
We all wrote people.
I think that's
I
why.
didn't write people. I wrote businesses.
Oh well, you're just special.
I fixed it.
So did Peyton get us a cookie point?
I think that should get us a cookie.
Why
point.
not?
We have
Okay.
0 in all 3 of the classes that we are in.
Wait, how did
No, I
I
don't
give
catch
you?
my mistakes.
I don't
You
know how
don't
to catch
make
math
many when you're in our
You
class.
don't make mistakes.
I don't know.
I
How
don't
to
know
catch
about
math
that.
mistakes.
Not me.
Well,
When
let's
she
get
finds
that.
oops, so you just have to let her know.
Found this recipe. Well, not found it. This lady at Bible study the other day made these strawberry cake cookies with strawberry icing on them, and they were so good. I think that's what I should make.
I was gonna say that's kind of random.
Yeah, I was like,
but-
saying,
It was
Oh,
relevant to the cookie points.
Yeah, that's what
I
I
forgot
thought.
your
But at
thought.
first I was like,
That's nice.
okay.
Did I tell you guys that I was in a game and I was like,
She was about to say it in a gang.
no, and I was like, I
Probably.
was talking to like myself and kind of to the air, and I was like, wow, that's nice. And the ref looked at me and said, it is nice, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I love that.
It was at Greenbrier.
Yeah.
And then she came up to me and was like, I love how you play defense. I was like, thank you.
It is nice.
That is nice.
All right. Why might it not be worth the effort to try to get an interval with a margin of error of only 1%?
Because it's not big of the difference.
What?
I mean, you'll have to find a whole bunch of.
What? You want to try that one more time?
Because, your confidence is
Okay, you'll have to find a whole bunch of.
How many businesses would I need if I changed it to 1% from the original 5%?
A lot.
I don't know. I'm gonna go for 25 times as many.
25 times as many. Thank you, Josh. Yes.
How do you get that? I
Because
think
this one was half the amount. You flip it and square it
Why do you flip it and square it?
because it's a fraction.
Oh my gosh, wait, and that one is like a fifth the amount, and you flip it and like
Square
five
it. Square it.
Square it.
Flip it and square it. So the sample size is too big. We would need 25 times as many businesses
It is. It's like 13,000.
Something
as we
about
did
it, just-
for 5% margin of error. This is not likely. Because realistically, we're not going to find whatever 541 times 25 is. Yeah.
13,525.
Ain't no way.
I mean, maybe if we found life on other planets.
No. All right.
What?
Editors of the business report are willing to accept a margin of error of 4%, but they want a 99% confidence.
So what's that number?
Well,
Do
that's
you
good
know
for
that
them.
number?
I don't know.
I do know that number.
Oh,
You're going to want to know that number as well.
yes. I
That
do.
number is 2.576. How many randomly selected employers will they need to contact? Any guesses on how I set this one up?
Same way.
Do the me thing.
How do I set it up?
Yeah. Well, I keep setting it up.
So like, do we start with like a 0.04?
0.04
I like my zeros before the decimal points.
equals
Total work.
Equals 2.576 times the square root of 0.5 times 0.5 over n.
and solve for n. So 1,037 businesses. A newspaper reports that the governor's approval rating stands at 65%. The article adds that the poll is based on a random sample of 972 adults and has a margin of error of 2.5%. What level of confidence did the pollsters use? Okay, so now we're finding Z-star given everything else. So Z-star equals what? So margin of error 0.025 equals Z-star times the square root of, okay, it's 65%, so 0.65 times 0.35 over 972, solve for Z-star.
Got 1.634.
I got 1.6.
Please don't.
What? How'd you do
Wait,
it?
what'd y'all get?
I did all the stuff in the square root, then I divided it by the.
All right, now, what, this confidence level, okay, this number is close to what confidence level number?
90%.
90%. Okay, they won't always be exact. Out to a few decimal places, it might be off. So we're gonna say it at approximately a 90% confidence level. And you can just say CL for confidence level. Alright, so we'll do the last problem tomorrow in the packet, and then we might go ahead and look at notes for the next thing. I might just let y'all work. We'll see. TBD.
We're working on the what's it called, right?